Welcome back to the Cranium podcast. I'm your host, Justin Carroll. And guys, welcome back. Welcome to the new year. It is 2021. It is January 5th, 2021. And man, this year's been crazy. I know I haven't done an episode in a while, and I definitely want to make podcasts, want them to be a more consistent thing for sure. And hopefully in the future I can get to that. So if you do like this podcast series, then that should be a little exciting. If not, and you stick with the majority, then I don't know, it doesn't mean much to you, I guess. So man, but it's crazy though. I really wanted to record this episode on the 1st of January, whenever I was driving, and I just had this idea in my head, and I was like, oh man, I should definitely do a podcast. And usually I've been wanting to do some with some guests recently. I mean, that's kind of what I want to do in most of them. And, I usually struggle between getting ideas or people or both. But for this one, I was like, I can at least put this episode out. And I think this one will be a good measuring stick to reflect on later. Or at least reflect on this past year now and just see what all's changed and where we're at now. And I kind of want to use this as a way for you guys to join me on that journey, or have a little peek into my life and my day-to-day and what I've been up to and what kind of year it's been for me, at the very least. So yeah, this year's been really crazy, and what's really crazy is I said it in my first podcast that I ever did, of this series, and it was me explaining the whole point of it is basically just to either be entertaining or give off some sort of lesson and help some people in some ways, whether it's like teaching something, giving a little bit of feedback, advice through a story, an experience, or just in general being a podcast that's entertaining and something that you can listen to and get something out of and provide in some way. That's the whole goal of this. Also, the name from it comes from the fact that I had brain cancer. And it was kind of a double entendre, and it's kind of to make light of a darker situation, because I had brain cancer and I had surgery a year ago in 9 days on January 14th. And that is so wild for me to think that it's been a year since my first brain surgery, not to mention that I had a second one in April. But that's wild. That is so weird to me. And I also, it's also kind of a double entendre in the sense of I have a big head, and my coach in high school would always joke with me about it. And so I was like, Cranium Cast, it's a great idea, because I also have like this little thing I say called the Cranium season or whatever, and the whole point of that is it's mainly for like when I'm doing sports stuff, whatever, like I wrestle in college, but it's also like, yeah, like I had brain cancer. I dealt with this and that. But to be honest, though, I feel like everything, in life is purposeful. And it's really just what you take it as, in the sense that I can look at my cancer as something that's been really bad. But I feel like because of that this year, it set me up for so much success in my future, or at least put me in a better spot, going from not knowing where I wanted to be, not knowing what I wanted to do with my life in school, with sports. I didn't feel like I was like my previous college was my home. I felt not confused for my purpose, and not like my life was meaningless, but I just did not know what I wanted to do, and it was so weird. And definitely with quarantine and the time I was spent recovering at my house when I wasn't able to do anything after my surgeries, that was rough, because I hated being alone so much, and I couldn't stand it. It was really weird. And I don't know. My first surgery, I talk about this a little bit, but my first surgery really restricted me, and the recovery was physical, whether it was just adapting to it or whatever it was, I couldn't bend my head over and have pressure on. I had to sleep elevated for weeks, or a couple weeks, I think. And I couldn't, like when I showered, I didn't wet that side of my head like from the shower head directly, so like I'd have to let the water run to it, and showering was such a pain, and trying to clean and still be somewhat hygienic was a difficult task for a teenage boy. But when I had my second surgery in April, what was different was I felt like that one definitely whether it was a timing thing or whatever it was, or if it was the actual surgery itself. But mentally, I feel like that had already pushed me back a little bit, and I started having more issues with anxiety and potentially depression. And these aren't doctor diagnosed. They said these are definitely symptoms and are very common to happen after these kind of events. And it's normal, but I wasn't, I didn't go anywhere, so I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, I had this, but I definitely think that was like, I was having a lot of anxiety, and it was really weird because I've never really had anything like that happen before. And so, life was rough for a little bit mentally for me. And don't get me wrong though, I don't want to undermine that or not undermine that. I don't want to, over talk it or whatever and make it sound like it's so sad, because I am still incredibly blessed, and there is so much that God has done for me, and where He's put me and everything, that even in these dark situations, and at least what I believe is that everything kind of has a purpose, and everything happens for a reason. So these things that may seem terrible in the moment, they shape and mold me and us as people into better people, and you can take lessons away from that if you choose to acknowledge it. I think a lot of people in their day-to-day don't necessarily acknowledge the lessons that come from the quote-unquote bad experiences. I think that if you really look at things like that, then everything is a win-win, whether you actually succeed or you have some sort of rough situation where something bad happens to you. I think there's something to take away from it. Like a silver lining or a hidden blessing, and whatever you want to call it. I think it's like that. And you really just have to have the right attitude towards those things and not be so closed-minded. Excuse me. But it's been, doing that was like when I started struggling with those things over the summer this year, it was really weird because, it was such a weird transitional. This has been such a transitional life or year for me, and it's really interesting. I was so caught up in trying to hang around friends and do things, and I don't know. I was still not stuck in high school by any means, at least I think, but I didn't really find my niche yet, or my niche or whatever, and I don't think I have found it entirely yet, but I think I'm moving towards the right direction, and I'm creating my own path that I'm going down now, and I kind of know what I want my path to look like, so I shape and mold it to be that, and we're just kind of going to see. But plus I'm really young, and there's a lot of time to kind of figure those things out, but I think through my cancer though, and my surgeries and everything, it set me up for where I am now. And I know a lot of people don't think those things. They're just like, oh man, how terrible that you dealt with cancer. And that's why I talk about the Cranium cast, and I talk about the Cranium season and all these things. Is no, those weren't bad experiences for me. And don't get me wrong though, back in my hometown, in my church and everything that I went to, I had so many people in there that would tell me all those kind of things and be like, well, you're such a strong young man, or this and that. And I grew up hearing a lot of about people in my church, or just older people in my family, or whoever it was, who struggled with cancer. And I don't want to sit here and talk and be like, just make the best out of it, or don't be so emotional or whatever, because I'm definitely, one, a very emotional person, and two, I think I was very fortunate because my cancer wasn't that severe, and we found it by accident, and it just it was a very fortunate situation. So I didn't have I didn't have to do chemo or radiation either. So, I didn't have to sit here and go through a lot of pain and struggles when treating it either, besides my actual surgeries. So that was very fortunate of me. But like I said, in my situation though, that's why I like talking about it and making a light of it, because it could have been worse. I could have found out about it way later when it was causing me issues and it was impacting my body in such ways to where now it's not treatable. It's not, helpable. And it's really just trying to delay it or keep it from doing more damage. And so I think it's really good to acknowledge that kind of stuff though, instead of just having a pity party for yourself and saying, well, I had cancer, or how could this happened to me or blah blah blah, and whatever. But it put me in my new college and everything, and I keep saying that, but I have I'm in such a good spot right now. I have a good family. I have good support from my family and my friends and the support group I have on my team and my roommates. And I just have a good group around me right now. And I feel like very well-rounded, and I have a decent head on my shoulders. Definitely better than what I was. And that's something I've really started to acknowledge the past couple days is even at the beginning of the semester in August, when we started doing, wrestling conditioning, and we were doing runs, or we were having practices and whatever it was we were doing, mentally I was struggling so hard. I just wanted to impress my coaches and myself and succeed and do all these things. And I understand that it's a time thing, and I can't just expect to do that and off the get-go. But it was just so tough. I was already defeating myself and beating myself up before anything happened, and I was trying so hard not to. And it's just kind of crazy. Like I haven't noticed it recently, or I've noticed it more recently. But now when I'm at practice, I feel like I'm succeeding more. And even if I'm not in a materialistic sense or a win-loss sense, I am in a lot of ways with how I'm at least handling myself, and I feel like I'm slowly refining, knocking rust off, and being molded into a better athlete, better person, who knows how to handle these things, and trying to have more resiliency and conquer the adversity, and not back down from that. I know that kind of sounds all over the place, and I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal, because I definitely still have a lot to fix, but that comes in time, though, and that's such a cool part of this sport. At least for me, I've had it in the past, but these surgeries set me back. So, I had some catching up to do. I had to knock off some rust. I had to get back into shape. I had to pick up a little bit and grow, and physically and mentally. And so it was a double battle. And now it's so nice to see like how that changes. And now it just like, it's so enjoyable, and it's just something I'm like, I just want to say thank you, and it's a privilege to even be doing the sport. But there's been, I'd say, like pros and cons about this year though. It's tough because like I don't know what I want to dictate or determine to be a con and stuff. I think you can look at a lot of these things and kind of go back and forth, because it's kind of subjective. But like I think out of all my cons that I've had, like a lot of it's just been very emotional situations, whether it's with me and just how I've handled things, or with people in my life who, I people just have their drama, and they have their issues, and whatever it is they have to fix or address and whatever. But I've had a decent amount of that, and I don't know though. Like it's really tough because I don't know. When I wrote pros and cons, I'm looking at my phone right now, and I put some bullet points on things to talk about, but like I don't really know what to determine a con as or a pro, because I could sit here and say it stinks that I saw this and I had to go through all this, but I'm thankful for what it showed me though, and it just sucks. I say it a decent amount, but it sucks the way we learn things sometimes. But the lessons are really important, and they're very beneficial, just as much as if you learned it in a non-sucky way. But sometimes we have to learn things like that, and that's okay. It's just kind of being accepting of that kind of junk. I've grown really accustomed to music now. I'm trying this next semester. We start our second semester, or our spring semester, whatever, next Monday, and I'm taking, hopefully, if it works, or if it's an actual class, I'm taking a piano class, and I want to take a guitar class too. And I've really just had a deeper love for music recently, or this semester. Like I've always loved music, and I've overanalyzed lyrics and whatnot, but now I just have such a deeper respect for it. I want to learn it and mess around with it for sure, and at the very least, have a higher respect for music and the art of making it. but if I can, you know, I'd love to make stuff and just kind of play around with it. That stuff is so entertaining to me. Um, and I know I probably have like weird music taste to some, but uh, I've stand Mac Miller so hard these past few months, and uh, looking at the production of everything that he's done himself and the lyrics and the stories he tells, and how cool they are, and sometimes how sad they can be. You know, with like his Swimming in Circles combo albums. I like how like that tells such a story, but it's a sad story, if that makes sense. Um, I've grown really into this band called Peach Pit, and their lead guitarist is awesome Stash, and his awesome guitar solos he has at like every song. Um, but like things like that, like I've just grown so much more interested in, and I'm really excited just to see where at least that part of my future goes, or I'll at least enjoy playing around with it for sure. Um, I've tried teaching myself. I don't want to say I've tried teaching myself. I have tried teaching myself a decent amount this year, but I've had a lot of good people who have taught me a lot. Um, the my teammate and my roommate Ivan, who got me to come here in the first place at our college now. Um, this man he's goofy, and he's a fun dude to hang around, but he's also very well rounded, I'd say, and he's taught me a lot. And I've tried to pick up a lot of little things from him and um, my other roommates and just people around me in general. Um, I've tried to be just more rounded. I don't know, for lack of better words, and just fix a lot. And growing to being more happy, and not being the way I've said it before is being lukewarm. I think I felt before that I was one extreme or the other. I was very happy or I was very sad or angry. I was just very animated as a person. And while that's okay, it has its time and place, I think. And now I know, or I've gotten to a point now where I feel lukewarm. I don't feel like I'm either really happy or sad. I feel like I'm comfortable where I'm at. I'm happy, and I'm not complacent, but I'm not sitting here freaking out over one thing and just spiraling, or going back and forth like I'm on some sort of roller coaster. Um, but one thing I've learned, like I started meditating with one of my roommates, and we do these little, we go on YouTube, find a meditation for just different issues we'd want to try and help, whether it's like having a good day, stress, whatever. And one of them was so cool to me because it talks about acknowledging things. It said like when you're breathing right now and you're doing this, you probably feel like or you probably have these memories or thoughts come to your head, whether it's someone that you have a problem with, or a situation that's been on your mind a lot recently, or whatever it is. It's usually something like that, they say. And it was just saying, acknowledge it, but don't get stuck on it, or let that consume you. Look at it and acknowledge it, and then move on. And I think that was something I definitely did a lot before. I am such an overthinker. I think too much, and I wonder how my brain isn't fried from just the amount of thinking I do, and how often like I just overanalyze, and it's it's funny sometimes, but a lot of times I'm like, man, I would give anything just to be like simple, but I'm learning. I'm trying to learn how to control that better and use it as a weapon, and not such a or not a weapon, but a tool, rather than like, here I go again doing my overthinking and whatever. But I think I don't know. You hear it when I talk, but I have a lot of thoughts and ideas, and I think I just get really caught up in a lot. Like I'm trying so hard to do all these things and pursue this and that, but it can be. I make it a little bit more overwhelming for myself than it needs to be sometimes, because I'm just so um, excited maybe. I don't know, to be frank with you, but uh, it's cool. It comes from a good place, and it comes from such a like caring and um, intrigued, I guess, position or something. Um, but with all these lessons and things I've learned this year, and how I feel in this short span of time, I'm getting to be in a good mental state again, to where I can attack and uh, approach these goals and situations and tasks that before I was struggling very hard with, or I wasn't in a good shape to even attack them and approach them in the first place. Where now this year is going to be so exciting for me, because um, I have had so much growth this year. I don't want to undermine that for sure, because I've grown and changed a lot this year. And um, that's so cool. Like it's exciting, because like in the moment I didn't feel like I did a lot, and maybe I've done a lot in such a short span of time. But I think the whole year, like, I've learned stuff, and I've slowly been coming back. Because I felt last year before my surgeries I was in a really great mental spot, um, and now I feel like I'm not in that same one. I'm in a similar one, but I've added a lot to it now. I've added a lot to my arsenal and my toolbox, um, of just lessons or beliefs, or just resources in general for my mentality. And that's awesome to me. Like, it's so like giddy. Like, I just get I don't get excited, I guess, but I get very happy, and I'm so intrigued by that kind of stuff, because it's something that I've struggled with. And so, heck yeah, I'll take a tool. I'll take any kind of lesson you can give me on that kind of stuff, because I value that, and I have such a higher value for it. And I'm talking about my year and stuff, so that way it might be not necessarily maybe inspirational, but I want to use it as an example and show that, like, hey, if you like, maybe your year didn't suck as bad as you think, and maybe there was a lot more good to it that we just didn't necessarily acknowledge before. And if not, at the very least, like, yeah, I don't think, when people make all these memes about, oh, 2021's here, finally 2020's over, so all the good's gonna start happening now. Like, they look at that as such a um not like linear, but like such a boxed in thing. Like, all of these things that happened this year are only gonna be for now. Um, I didn't do anything really New Year's. I didn't party. I didn't really care for the countdown. Like, I was paying attention, but I didn't do much. Um, and I didn't like. I really wanted to take a goofy picture for my Instagram or something, but I didn't even do that. And I just look at it as like, it's a new year, and it's not a new year, same me, and I don't like saying new year, new me, because that's so oversaid, but it's a new year, and I have the same goals that I had last year, but excuse me, now I have added a lot more. It felt like, I've been in this spot before, but now I come back with a lot more thoughts, and I've learned a lot more now. So maybe I'm able to handle a lot, and I'm able to do more. And that's what's exciting to me, because I see how maybe last year, if I was I don't know what's a good analogy for that. Say last year, if I was more, if I was some sort of, like, maybe last year I was a rock, and this year I'm a boulder. Maybe that's a good one. Now that I'm more sturdy, and I'm more solid, and um, I can take a lot more without being getting broken or set back, or whatever it is, however you want to make that. Um, and that's what's exciting to me, because like, I have a whole year now of not necessarily catching up, because I don't think I'm gonna be like this for, I don't know, you're gonna have ups and downs for sure, but it's learning how to take that and just accept it, and not think that everything has to be good. There's gonna be down times in our life, but not letting that consume you is something that I think I've struggled with in the past. And it's just, I don't know, it's just very exciting to me to see where this year goes. I feel like as an athlete, at least, I'm slowly learning things, and I'm starting to get a little bit better. And I didn't do too much over Christmas break. I really was trying to enjoy my time off, and it made me. I think that was a good move on my part because I came back having missed it so much, and I didn't just do nothing, but I didn't do a lot either though. And now that I'm back to it, I'm like, man, I love being here. And now it's not. I've handled it in a way to where my practices aren't a chore for me now. They're a privilege. They're fun. They're exciting because I'm like, we've been doing 2 practices a day, and that junk stinks for sure because my body is so tired. But it's exciting still because it's like, man, I love where this is gonna. Like, I'm growing. I'm getting better, and I'm excited just to see where that takes me next season or at the end of this year or in a few months, and finally seeing a measuring stick and where I'm at. As far as when it comes to making music, I'm excited to see where at the end of next year or this year, seeing where I've come in learning music and my ability to play stuff, my ability to make a song, and all these different things I've done. That stuff just excites me so much. Like setting some goals. Like New Year's is a great time for setting goals. I think it's so good because now, like I said, I get to reflect back on last year and see, now that it's come to an end, I can look at that timeline and say, wow, this is really how much I did, and this is really how much I've changed and grown or had to deal with, or this was what was on my plate, essentially. And now I can say, so I can look at me from last year and look at myself this year and say, these are different people now. In a good way. But I think to anybody that'd be really exciting. And I don't know. I've just really been focusing on a lot of self-growth this year. This year's been a big self-growth year for me. I think I try to always seek self-growth and not being closed-minded to that, because I think always looking for new ways to better myself, whether it's for people around me or just for myself at the very least. I want to do that. I want to be a better person so I can live a better life for myself and those around me. And that's just, it's nice. I a lot of these have really similar principles to them or similar ideas in mind, but that kind of stuff just really gets me excited, and it's something I'm very passionate about. And that's why I like talking on this podcast, because I want to spread that with everyone around me. So that way, if you've never heard of this or thought of this, or you're looking for an answer for something, then if this is it, then take it. Like, here, go. Like, I want that to be projected for as many people as possible. I don't know. It's so cool to me. So I guess what I would say, to get off talking about me, I guess I really like talking about myself, but to get off talking about me and how to, I guess, kind of make this more well rounded. If you haven't, I definitely would try to make some goals this year. I'd start out by looking back at last year and look back at 2020 for yourself and say, what all happened this year? What all happened that was really good? What all happened that I didn't really think of much in the moment, but played a pretty big role in my year? And where does that put me now? What is something that I want to grow and fix or get better at this year? What's something I want to learn this year? And what's something I have learned? You can't always be like, I have to do this. Acknowledge what you've done good too. There's so much, probably. I bet, I would imagine. I think a lot of times we can get so consumed by what we need to do, and that stuff can be really overwhelming at times. I hear it with myself and with other people around me. They want to change, they want to do so much, and they come from such a good place in their heart, and yet they're so stuck on all that, and they feel like they're not doing enough. And now they're not seeing all the positives they've done for themselves in that year. And now this year looks like, it doesn't look like I did that much. For me, I could definitely look at it and say, I haven't done that much on materialistic things or accomplishments or whatever, but this stuff takes time. And I think it's really like I say that a lot, but I think it's really become a lot more like aware for me because with wrestling at least specifically, and you can apply this to a lot, but um, you know, I was trying so hard and I was working so hard, or I was trying to at least by getting better, getting more in shape, or having a better head on my shoulders, or learning um, technique or how to set up stuff or timing, footwork, whatever it is I'm trying to fix in my big-headed, non-athletic body. I'm sitting here trying to do all this, and I'm like, man, I'm not doing enough. And it's just kind of like, wow, like, I don't, like, in the moment, I was just like, dude, I'm not doing that much. And my roommate, Ivan, would always tell me, you can't really measure that much in a week. You can't measure that much in a day. It doesn't seem like you're probably doing a lot, but, like, now that it's been 4 months, and that time has flown. But now that those 4 months have passed and we're in the second part of the semester in our season, wow, like I am noticing a change now. And I think others are starting to too. And while I'm not where I want to be yet, I'm definitely making strides. And so take that and apply that to your life. Apply that to your passions, your outlets, your sport, whatever it is that is applicable for you. And just try and grow and learn, do something. I really encourage that this year. Use this year as a year to grow. And if you feel like you have done a lot of growing in this past year, use it to employ that growth, employ that knowledge, show what you've learned, and really put it to the test, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't have all the answers like I'd like to. I'd like this to be, I wish I could sit here and just tell you everything that you need to know for your life or whatever, but I'm still learning too. But that's what's so cool about this to me, because it'll make this an even better adventure that we can share together on this podcast. I don't know if this sounds really crazy to anyone listening, but that stuff is just very cool to me. And for like the upteenth time, I'm just very excited on this year to see where it goes and to see what all it entails and what I can learn and open up to. Yeah, those are definitely my thoughts on this year. And I think it definitely has been a crazy year. But with all this stuff, at least, and I speak for myself when I say this, because I don't wish COVID, or I wish COVID wasn't here. But through that, there has been a silver lining. There has been hidden blessings or blessings in disguise that I have found for me. And I'm sure majority of people could probably find that in theirs as well. But I'm not going to sit here and speak on other people's lives. But this year has been weird and such a roller coaster, but I wouldn't trade it. I am very thankful for all it's shown me, even when it probably sucked in the moment. There's been a fair share of that, but that's, sometimes we have to learn things that way. So, it's been really nice talking to you guys again. I feel like I'm having a conversation, and that's why I try to treat this as, so that way it sounds maybe a little bit better. I don't know. I'm just a kid, and I don't know too much on how to run a podcast. So, Joe Rogan, I'm sorry to disappoint. I hope one day that I can be better. I don't know. We're learning. We're going. But thank you guys for listening and staying tuned. Definitely going to be trying to do more. And get excited for this year. Get excited. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. And if you've listened to my podcast before, thank you for continuing to listen. I'm very thankful for this opportunity to even do this or have the resources to try and run something like this, even if it's not the best. So I'll take what I can get. But I'll see you guys in the next episode, and I hope all you guys are doing well and have enjoyed your New Year's. I'll see you guys.